Well, we're keeping a close eye on the situation in El Cajon tonight.
We're going to go back out there live for another update in just a few minutes. The situation is still tense in El Cajon tonight. When
we come right back, we will take you there live for an update. We have an update once again on the situation in El Cajon right now. Let's check back in with KUSI's John SODERMAN. John?
It continues to just intensify here. I'm going to step aside. We're at Mollison and Broadway. There are probably 50 police cars here in the last couple minutes rather. There was a car doing donuts, causing a traffic problem. An officer tried to stop that vehicle. And then as the officer did, a mob descended on that officer and he activated his code. What's it called, Bill? Code cover, which is, thank you, Bill, which is basically tells every available unit to come to his aid because he thought that maybe something bad was going to happen with that mob of people. So once again, about 50 police cars. Now let's talk about what has happened here through the night. Take a look. Earlier tonight, completely up, they pushed down a motorcyclist as he tried to get through an intersection of Mollison and Broadway that was completely blocked off, and it caused very tense moments with people trying to get through that intersection, which was completely blocked off. Police arrived after about, well over 30 minutes, but in a major show of support, a quasi-battalion of officers, and moved in and started arresting people, declaring it an unlawful assembly. A total of 2 people arrested, including a man who spit into the face of one of the officers, and they eventually got the people to move. But this is a very tense situation. Of course, there's going to be a very big rally on Saturday. Word is perhaps police are trying to make a statement that they're not going to put up with this. And it's worth noting that the man who was shot, his family today implored the community not to resort to violence. So once again, this situation right here is an officer who feared that he was going to be mobbed and activated his call for assistance from every available officer. And boy, did we see it, well over 50. Throw it back to you.
John, before we let you go, a couple quick questions. One, was the officer hurt in any way, and is the crowd still there? I mean, were police able to disperse the crowd?
The answer would be we don't believe he was hurt, and we're not sure if the car is still there. So. But we did hear, I should mention this, we did hear the sounds of pepper balls being fired and officers yelling at the mob, and then we saw just a throng of young people come running out of that area.
And you mentioned there are about 50 police cars on the scene right now. Are they all El Cajon police, or have they requested some backup from other agencies?
That's actually an excellent question, Sandra, because as you know, the mutual aid system works like this. Any department in the whole country has the ability to say, look, we need help from other departments. And there was massive mutual aid tonight. So apparently a lot of these departments did not go back to their respective cities, because we saw, El Cajon PD, San Diego PD, Escondido PD. And so it looks like the mutual aid is kind of backed off this intersection after it was blocked off, but they're ready to go if something happens. And this could continue for a couple hours.
John, what about the person who was causing the disturbance? I know this is just now happening. You're standing a distance away. You haven't been able to find out. Has that person been arrested or taken into custody?
Yes, 2 people were taken into custody as far as this incident is concerned.
All right. Well, John, we know that you're going to be on the scene, and we will check back in with you. And, of course, we'll have a full wrap-up on the KUSI News at 11 in about 30 minutes as well. Thank you, John. And things are escalating once again in El Cajon. Let's go live to John SODERMAN, who continues our coverage. John, what's happening out there?
Yeah, literally 20 seconds after we signed off a couple minutes ago, tear gas was released into the air. You can see kind of the haze. We're just hoping that it doesn't drift this way, because if any of you have had tear gas, it's horrible. It's like your whole eyes are on fire. But that as soon as we heard the tear gas canisters activated, very loud explosions, then we saw just a horde of young people running. And this was in response to a situation where an officer tried to pull over a car that was driving recklessly through this intersection. And the officer then, after pulling that vehicle over, was mobbed by a mob that surrounded his vehicle, and he put out something called a code cover, which is a request for help from every available officer, and that was what prompted this massive response, probably at least 50 police cars. So things continue to get really tense here, and of course we'll have an update at 11 o'clock.
John, as we're looking through the squad cars, a row of squad cars, we obviously see police in riot gear. We can't really tell if they're moving more people out or what. Do you know if there's still some more people behind those squad cars?
Yeah, we're going to zoom the camera in so you can see them. They are pushing those people. If you could, Billy, right, see the Starbucks over there? There's a whole line of deputies there in riot gear. So they are, drawing a line to move the crowd out because they've declared this an unlawful assembly, which means they have the ability to do that.
Right, and we saw and heard from business people in the area the economic toll that it has taken in the last couple of days, and you can bet that it's probably not going to be any better on Friday.
Hopefully not, and the hope is for the big rally on Saturday, that will be peaceful because there are going to be a lot of people here. We're told that people are going to be bussed in, and the whole nation's going to be watching, and we don't want to have this kind of thing happening on Saturday or any more nights because this is, I got to be honest with you. Tonight when they had the intersection blocked off and I saw families pulling up and I saw little kids who were just terrified and did not know what was going on. So, it's frightening for the children to see this.
Yeah, for one thing's for sure, police are standing their ground right there and they're trying to keep calm. The question is, will they be able to, as this crowd appears to be trying to disperse somewhat, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, and John, we noticed that your light is not on, and that's really a safety precaution, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is a moth to a flame, and as I said earlier, Bill Feather, the man behind the camera, was hit in the head tonight with a beer bottle. I know some other members of the media were assaulted with bottles and that kind of thing, so there's just a lot of tension. That's the best way to say it.
All right, be careful out there. If there's anything new, we'll be checking back in with you a little bit later.
Thank you, John.
Coming up on the KUSI News at 11, we will continue our live coverage in El Cajon. Protests are turning violent after an officer-involved shooting. The KUSI News at 11 starts in 60 seconds.
This is the KUSI News at 11.
Good evening. I'm Sandra Moss, in tonight for Lauren Finney.
And I'm Ross Becker. Thank you for joining us. The tensions among people protesting a fatal officer-involved shooting in El Cajon have been building all week long.
And tonight, they erupted into violence. We begin our coverage this evening with KUSI's John Soderman live in El Cajon with the very latest. John?
Very tense situation. More tear gas has been deployed here in the last couple seconds, but this is the latest scene. Tonight, after protesters completely blocked the intersection and officers moved in and they pushed the crowd out and they backed off, and then a motorist was doing like donuts in an intersection, very dangerous. An officer tried to pull him over, and when he did, a mob descended. Whoa, holy cow. Did you hear that? That's more tear gas. A mob descended upon that officer's unit, and he activated his call for help from every available officer, which brought at least 50 officers here. Now they're declaring it an unlawful assembly, and they're pushing the crowd back, activating the tear gas. You can hear the sound of pepper balls being fired, and these officers are in full riot gear. And I'm talking about the shin guards. They almost look like Ninja Turtles, really just padded up like football players. But as far as what happened here earlier tonight, here's a chronological look at a very tense night. Just after dusk, several hundred protesters start walking down Broadway, completely disrupting traffic. The protesters then completely encircle the intersection at Broadway and Mollison, shouting, "No justice, no peace." So as the protesters block the intersection, things become extremely dangerous when impatient motorists try to drive through.
No justice, police! No justice, police! No.
At one point, a motorcyclist trying to get through the intersection is knocked to the pavement.
Before I crossed, I said, "Yo, peace, bro. I'm trying to get by." And he didn't see it, but the front line did. They let me through. He didn't. But it's just it's communication is what we need here, sir.
Finally, police arrive and start to move in on the protesters. After one man is arrested, officers deploy their pepper balls, which really starts to disperse the crowd. Another man is arrested when he spits in an officer's face. Lucky, I want you to talk about what you just did.
Well, try to keep stuff calm, because basically what we did, this move that we just did, was because we want to make a statement to the point that we want to know what's up with the videotape also. They took that man's mom, tucked her away somewhere in some building, secluded. We didn't know, so we couldn't show up and support. We don't know. So we're right here. Our numbers is less or whatever. So that's a statement we made. Okay, let's go outside, shut it down. That's the message we want to send.
At any point were you worried that At any point were you worried somebody could get hurt? I saw little kids out there.
I'm worried that somebody can get hurt every day when nothing like this is going on, because we get hurt all the time.
Back here live once again. Police have. Hold on. Let's see. Something's going on here. As I was going to say, at least 3 tear gas canisters. You heard that one before the last couple minutes. So they're continuing to push this crowd out, declaring it an unlawful assembly, and saying they will arrest anybody who does not move. In El Cajon, John Soderman, KUSI News.